all cold-blooded. Take 2.
Welcome back to another video. What are you doing, Daddy?
I'm rating some valve springs.
Why are you doing that?
Well, I gotta put new valve springs in my engine as preventative maintenance, but my method may not be the correct method, but we like to go through our valve springs to make sure that all our valve springs are consistent. Because when they come to us from GM, they just come wrapped single in a bag just like that. So to ensure that I'm not going to get any springs that are bad, I go through and I rate them all to make sure that I'm getting a consistent number between them, because I don't want to put a valve spring that's say 90 pounds in with a spring that's going to be rated at like 60 pounds. So I want to make sure that they're all the same, so all my cylinders and valves are equal. But it's a long process.
What are you doing, Dave?
We are making sure there's no water inside the compressor, so then that way when Jaden, which I'll explain later, goes to set the cylinders, there's no water being pumped through into the motor, and that doesn't happen because you don't want that to happen, because that's no good. And then water gets in there and it go boom.
Well, Jaden, hate to say it, but what you're doing is quite boring. So, I'm gonna go see what the wifey's doing over there. Okay. And then Lucas, he's just swinging around. So, Miss Jessica, on this episode, what are you doing right now?
Oh, I've been instructed to take the spark plugs out so that when we go to crank the engine over, it's a little bit easier to get the oil flowing because it hasn't been cranked all winter. And the reason for that is so that when we change the valve springs and we can set the lifter, sorry, let me get the right words here. So we can set the lifters and the valve lash a lot easier.
What Jessica's trying to say. Go away from my boring job for a minute.
Yeah, the smart race car driver knows what should be said.
I'm not smart. I have a race car, therefore I am not smart.
And broke.
Very good. So, with the engine sitting for so long, there's always a chance that our lifters, these are hydraulic lifters, so they rely on oil pressure to pump up to get a little bit more seat pressure. Kind of, it's a little terminology difference. So, what I like to do before I do my valve springs or set my valves is I crank the engine over, get some oil pressure and everything, and just get everything flowing again. Then I'll go through, I'll change all my valve springs, but then I will also, each time I do one cylinder at a time to do my valve springs, I'll be able to set my valve lash, which is just, because it's a hydraulic roller, it's just a half turn of preload. But this way, with having the oil pressure in the lifters, I know my lifter isn't collapsed, I'm setting it properly. That's kind of it. I'm sure there's other people's ways of doing it. There might be way better ways of doing it, but this is the way I do it, and I've fortunately had it work for years.
And always remember, get in, sit down, shut up, and hold on.
Alright, what are you gonna do, Jaden? Primer it up?
I'm going to crank it up, get some oil, well not start it up, but crank it to get some oil pressure. So we'll be watching for that red gauge to go white. Let's sit for a second, hit 50 PSI on cranking. And we'll go again. Like that, we have oil pressure.
So then I'm gonna guess we're getting valve covers off?
Yeah, we'll get the valve covers off and have some fun. Not in the sun.
This is night 2. Jaden is continuing to change the valve springs. So go ahead and check them on with Daddy. Just watch where you're pointing.
Hello.
Hello.
We're just working on our 4th cylinder of changing valve springs. So it's a long process. You gotta screw this one hose in where the spark plug goes. And once I get it to start, like that, you get it so it's snug. And I'll take this fancy dancy tool, it's called a leak down tester. And what I'll do is I'll hook this end up to the hose. I'll hook this other end up to my compressor line. And then I can put air into the cylinder to hold the valves up while I take the springs off. This will also tell me if there's any rings leaking in the engine, if there's any valves leaking. Like that, that's leaking right now. There it goes. So like this engine right now, there is a little bit of oil in the cylinder still from when we winterized it, but this cylinder has 2% leak down. So I'm gonna grab my tool and get to it.
So I grabbed your tool.
I got my tools. Screw it onto the stud. Get her on. My magnet ready to catch my keeper. Get some leverage. Pull the keepers out. Make a mess of wood. And voila, le valve spring.
And I'll grab one of the fancy new ones.
Let me make sure that was an intake. Yep.
Hey Lucas, want to clean up Daddy's wood?
Oh, that's easy.
Now the fun part is getting the keepers to go back on.
Are we going to show everybody your struggles?
Well, it's a struggle and a half.
Good job, bud.
A lot of practice, so I'm trying to remember my method and tricks I have for doing these. Some go on easier than others. And we'll get this all lined up. Well, Lucas sings a song apparently. That never happens. It never goes on first try like that, but I'll take it.
Of course, this time it does.
It'll be okay, buddy. There's going to be lots more wood following because the tool has such a short handle. I should really modify it.
With more metal.
More metal?
Yes.
Leverage? So we won't bore you with all the tedious. There's the compressor, so we'll come back after.
Well, we are back. Jaden's got all the valve springs changed. He's just setting the valve lash on the very last cylinder here. How was it, Jaden?
Well, I've had worse jobs.
And then what's the plans?
Depending on how late I get and all the spark plugs in and get the valve covers back on, we might see if we get the old girl to breathe some fire out her tailpipe again. What do you think, Lukey?
Is that exciting? He'll be more excited, I think, when his mini truck fires up. But we're gonna wait a little while for that, right?
And a snack bite.
Express.
What you having for a snack break today, Lucas?
Peanut butter sandwich.
And who made it?
Get anything you want.
I did.
Yeah, he made his peanut butter sandwich all by himself.
And I'm gonna make another one.
Tools away. Our shop puppy decided to join us. Now that things are less loud, we're gonna go make another sandwich.
Cranking it
Yep.
over for oil pressure.
And my
Okay.
peanut butter cuts I'm doing.
So we just cranked it over for oil pressure.
That's all. That's all, folks. Get some valve covers back on it and get some fuel in and see where we are for time. Oh, and put the spark plugs back in.
That might help.
Can't
You
forget
don't need
those.
them, but they help. Change it on the throttle. A little cold-blooded. Take two. Don't be worried about the smoke. There's a little bit of extra oil in the tailpipes for when we fog it put away for winter.
But we have life.
But she's alive!
Latest I've ever
That's
started
so
a race car for my season. But what can you say?
My eyes are burning.
I'm a RX 96 for you. But other than that, everything sounded good. There's no rattles or bangs or shakes or farts or carry-ons. So I must have did something okay with the valve springs. So that's it. That's all. Thanks for watching this vlog. Jessica, why don't you close that on in?
Hi, Dave.
Hi.
So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on our videos for us. And
Our comment down below guy is in bed.
yes, he is. There's a strict 8:30 bedtime, and Lucas is apparently quite on track of that.
Anyway, for your neighbors probably hate us right about now.
They're new. They gotta break them in.
I don't think they're home.
Even better.
But thanks for joining tonight, and stay tuned for the next one.
Hey, she a little foggy. Oof.